Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here again. I'm back again. I'm gonna go through about 20 cryptocurrencies here. And before I go through them, the big picture is really this. They're all bullish. They have all turned from getting everybody all scared over the last half a year to a year to looking more and more and more bullish. They're all doing a lot of really constructive things. So what I'm really saying here is just a little bit more like about details. If anything, I think they're more like educational in terms of what I look at and what I why I think certain ways. I'm going to start with Ethereum because Ethereum is looking extremely bullish, and I thought it was extremely bullish down here around the 2500s. And I was buying. I'm no longer buying Ethereum anymore. But I think that price is underneath 4,000 probably is still a pretty decent buy. Not financial advice, because I think prices are probably going to go up a lot higher. A lot of people might end up calling this a double top. Might think that it might end up just going down from here. I don't think so. I think we're getting close to a breakout of this range here pretty soon. Just going to zoom in here in terms of what I'm seeing here. I've talked about this last time too. I actually think that Ethereum this cycle actually looks more bullish than last cycle. I'll show you why I say that. Last cycle, whenever you got to around, September, August or so, you're really talking about price just kind of gets stuck underneath the 0.618 level here on the log fib. And it was just kind of like stuck underneath between 0.618. It was kind of bouncing range bound between 0.618 and 0.5 during the last cycle. But basically broke through here of the resistance of 0.5 where it got rejected over here, back tested it, and just pushed a lot higher, right? But 0.618 was a pretty strong resistance level. What are we doing here during this cycle? Well, you draw a fit level from the cycle high over here and the cycle low over here. You can see that the 0.618 actually was broken through above, and we back tested the 0.618. We didn't really have to back test the 0.5 really. I mean, I guess we did end up back testing that little wick over there with this wick over here, but 0.618 really was where it was kind of at, right? It broke through like it was butter, came back tested it for just a couple of months, and then just ended up pushing a lot higher. In this particular case, instead of getting rejected at 0.618, we got rejected at 0.886 here for months, right? Was not able to push through, came back test 0.618. This is generally how a pretty nice bull market gets started, by the way. It gets either rejected here at 0.786 or 0.886, and then it comes back down, back to 0.618. This is usually how a very nice bull market gets started. Well, we are at resistance, right? Again, where we got rejected here multiple months at the 0.86, around $4,000. This is the log chart. If you do a linear scale fit level, you can also see that instead of the 0.86, you're talking about like the 0.786, right? Around 4,000. Regardless, I think whenever 4,000 breaks, then you're talking about price probably gonna end up hitting some of the crazy levels up here. Around 1.414 fib extension level around 10,000, around 1.618 fib extension level around 14,000. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you in terms of, I did a scan here. I think that if we're able to break above the 0.86 level over here, then you're talking about a few possibilities. I do think that the 1.618 around 14,000 is probably going to get hit this cycle. It can go up higher at the psychological level up here at the top of the arc up here around 20,000. And that could be the end of the cycle. Or you can push through and end up going to the at the 2.272 fit level. If things get really, really bullish, it could potentially hit like 40,000 levels, right? Regardless, I think Ethereum chart is looking very, very bullish, because if you're just zooming out here, I did a scan here. Sometimes it doesn't have to hit the next level. Like over here, it basically pushed through multiple arcs. It didn't really hit like this next arc over here and just ended up having a huge correction. Back test the bottom arc here, held almost perfectly. Pushes through, nope, was not able to break through. Came back test the arc over here again, almost perfectly during COVID. And then you went to the next level, pushed above that a little bit, came back down to this arc over here. Now we might be getting ready to go to the arc up here. Maybe even the horizontal line up here, depending on how far we would push through above, right? There's always a possibility where the cycle doesn't go up that high and it can end up getting stalled at some of the lower levels, right? Around maybe 10K, around 14K, maybe it doesn't really quite get up to the arc up here. I don't know. I don't care. I think it wants to go higher, and before it does, there's really no reason for me to think that it's not going to push up higher to some of these levels up here above. The other reason why I think that Ethereum is probably going to push up at least to like 14,000 or to like 20,000, somewhere around there, is because during the bull market cycle things get pretty parabolic. Usually the upper and lower Bollinger Band starts to expand. I don't think we really had quite that happen just quite yet. What we did have was you have the 20-month moving average upsloping service support to push price up higher. It found support, it wants to go higher. The upper Bollinger Band, lower Bollinger Band is just starting to get expanded. So I think Ethereum is going to have a pretty nice bull cycle this cycle. It actually looks very, very nice. I just kind of share you about the targets. I think that this level down here, a bunch of wicks down here, was definitely a buy zone because it was right at the bottom of the monthly Ichimoku cloud together with the 0.618 level. I just thought that it was going to be a very, very strong support, and it was. So yeah, up we go. I think another thing to maybe think that up we go is because we have some pretty nice volume that came in November. This downtrend was on relatively low volume. In November, we have volume picking up. So I think it's going to go higher. It's what I think about Ethereum. All right, I'm going to spend another few minutes talking about Doge. I think it's important to talk about Doge. The reason why I think, same thing, I think this cycle actually looks a little bit more bullish than last cycle. I'll show you what I mean by that. I don't know if it's going to make another crazy move like that though, right? I just want to be clear in terms of what I'm saying here. What I'm really saying here is if you are, let me delete the daily Gann chart here. If you're looking at what happened last cycle, what you're seeing here is these are Fibonacci level based on log scale. And you can see that price really got here around the 0.786, got rejected, and had to go back test the 0.618 here, stuck here for about 4 weeks before going up a lot higher, right? Well, what happened so far? We are getting some resistance here at the 0.786 level, but we didn't really seem like we want to really back test the 0.618. We're just kind of hovering around here. Initially, I thought, hey, there's a potential where we come back down here and test the 0.618 breakout. No, I was just wanting to get above of it. So far, we're about the 0.786. That's insane. It looks like it just wants to keep going up higher, forming a very, very nice bull flag here. How many weeks has it been? Weeks number 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Right around the 0.786. How many weeks do we spend over here? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Could this week be it? Could next week be it? Are we going to hit all-time high pretty soon? I think we are. Because if you're also just looking at like the weekly Ichimoku, we broke through that convincingly, right? Look at the 2-week Ichimoku, we broke through that convincingly. We got a katana down here. Looking at the monthly, this is also something that's very important. We broke through the monthly cloud very convincingly. And over here, for January 2021, we just broke through it in one stroke. Over here, we broke through it in November, hit the 0.786 fit level here, got rejected, and we broke through above. Looks like it doesn't even really want to have a big back test or anything. It got kind of close to a back test of the monthly Ichimoku, didn't really quite get there. So all of these are very bullish. I think that Doge is going to make all-time highs. I think Doge is going to make all-time highs relatively soon. It's what I'm seeing. Even the Super-Ichi monthly is ready. This is a fairly bullish chart. Even the Super-Ichi monthly is already ready, right? So yeah, Doge is ready for some pretty sick moves. I think that this cycle is probably going to hit at least like $2.3 or $4 somewhere up here, but I think there's a potential for it to hit some higher targets up here, which is kind of insane to think about because of the market cap. But so far, I can't deny the way that this looks right now actually looks a little bit more bullish than the last cycle. The last cycle is actually quite extremely bullish. So yeah, that's what I think about these two. I'm gonna go through a few here that I care about a lot more. One that's related to Doge is gonna be Shiba, right? Shiba is looking like it wants to break about the 0.618, which is bullish, right? Got rejected over here, 0.618 here back in March. looks like it wants to push through. Let's look at the weekly and see what we're looking at, right? We have 1 week close about the 0.618, was not able to, sustain that. Got rejected that very next time, so this was a false breakout. So far, we have another week closing about the 0.618. We would like to have a conservative second week where it closes about 0.618. Then you're talking about 0.786. Then you're talking about some like all-time high stuff, which I think will come. The only issue is SHIB does have a little bit of Bollinger Band problem, right? It's waiting for the weekly Bollinger Band here to expand. It's waiting for the monthly Bollinger Band to expand, which is the reason why it didn't really push through last time, because it hasn't expanded yet. It got rejected, stretched way too far. And right now we have the Bollinger Band expansion that's happening. Low Bollinger Band is definitely expanding downwards to the negatives, right? Upper Bollinger Band is starting to kind of expand, allowing price to go up a lot higher. I think right now Shiba actually looks pretty decent. If I'm going to add to any altcoin, I think Shiba's got a pretty decent, risk-reward ratio actually. Something I might be interested in. Solana, what's Solana doing? Well, Solana is having some issue here. Let me go ahead and kind of show you that. Solana is having a little bit of issue here where it's kind of stuck underneath resistance. It got rejected here at a previous all-time high, came back down, and on the daily chart here, it's stuck underneath the, again, horizontal line here, a lot of wicks here above. But it also has broken through this arc, right? I think it's in the process of trying to reclaim the 20-day moving average. Now, this is a little bit probably too lower time frame for me to even care about. Look at a higher time frame. What it really has done is just got rejected from previous all-time high, come back down, maybe try and back test the previous level over here around 200. It got pretty close to it. Didn't really get quite there yet, but it's building up more and more energy to try and push for the previous all-time high. Got a very, very nice hand over here with a very nice breakout. It's going to go higher, but I've always been a little bit skeptical in terms of what Solana's going to do, because I think that this is wave 1, this is wave 3, and I think wave 5 is going to be a little bit more limited. I don't think it's going to make these crazy high from $8 all the way to 260 anymore, right? I think it's probably going to push up higher. It might have another 5-10x to it, but I'm not sure if it's going to do any those crazy moves anymore for the rest of the cycle. It could, right? I could be wrong. It could hit potentially the 2 level. It can hit 8,000. I just don't think it's going to. It's probably going to end up ending anywhere around 1,000, 2,000 range, somewhere around there is probably what my best guess is. Just because a lot of people are in deep profits up here and they're going to look for take profits up here and rotate to other coins. But this is a bullish chart. There's really not much to say about it. On the weekly here, Bollinger Band is not a problem. On the monthly, Bollinger Band is not a problem. But it's just hitting resistance at the previous all-time high. That's what it's doing. I don't think I'm going to add any more to Solana because I don't like it when things have just made a parabolic move. And you actually starting to kind of get a little bit more, it looks a little bit more like late cycle to me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Right. Next up, some of the larger caps, altcoin, one of which I do own is Chainlink. Chainlink is at resistance, but it's actually looking more and more bullish. It's on the weekly time frame here, it's way outside the upper Bollinger Band, and it's also hitting the Gann arc resistance here almost perfectly, right? Getting rejected almost perfectly. Now, where is it going to go now that it's gotten rejected on the short term? I don't really care about the short term, but I think it's good to kind of think about, conceptualize it. On the short term, it can come back to the 0.618 level here, which is going to be right around where the upper Bollinger Band here on the weekly is going to be. It could do that, or it doesn't have to. It can just kind of hover around here at the arc level, wait for the upper Bollinger Band to catch up before going up a lot higher. But it's finding resistance exactly where I'm going to just zoom in. It's finding resistance exactly at the arc. It's just kind of how beautiful it is. Backtest the angle here perfectly. Got rejected arc here perfectly. If it consolidates, it could come back to the 0.618, which is also going to be this level over here where it previously got rejected. It could come back here. It can even come back down to the arc here around $19. It doesn't have to. It can just hover around the arc here. It could just push through. If it breaks about the 0.786 here around $32, then you're talking about some all-time high stuff. How high is that? Is this cycle going to go? It depends. It really depends. I do think that this cycle is building up some, pretty decent things here. Could it hit like $100? Could it hit 140? Could it hit like 220, 30? It's possible. If you think that these lock scale fib are a little bit too crazy for you, could hit like $66, $73, $83, or even potentially 130, 180. Possible, right? I think that once it breaks above the arc up here, and once it's able to break about the 0.618 on the linear scale, which is going to be $35, or the 0.786 over here around $32, if it's able to break about this horizontal GAN level, essentially, it's going to hit this arc up here. Could it overextend up the arc up here? Maybe, right? It could also cut short. It could end up, being ending a cycle here about $100. There's no guarantee, right? But if it breaks about the arc over here, if it breaks about the horizontal line over here around $32 to $35, then you're talking about some triple-digit price action here for Chainlink, which I think is entirely possible. ADA is or Cardano. Cardano is looking pretty decent. I actually thought that this is a weekly chart for Cardano. I actually thought that this level over here is very similar to this level over here. It broke through the arc and it kind of just backtested the arc here a little bit. It's backtesting the arc over here a little bit. We might have another couple weeks to go, but I think it's probably going to gravitate to like $1.60, which is going to be the next level, maybe $1.65, so around there. That's going to be the next level. After that, where I think it's going to go, it's probably going to arc up here. It probably end the cycle either at the arc over here or the horizontal line up here. The arc up here is going to be anywhere around probably like $7 to like $10. The horizontal line up here is around 15 to $16. I think that's probably where it's going to end up going, if it looks anything similar to that, and I think it does. Right. It also looks like it's, how do I say that? It always looks like it's got a reaccumulation zone over here, like a reaccumulation zone over here, and it's got a very, very nice breakout. I just think that it gravitates from one arc to another. That's what ADA tends to do, and I think it's probably going to end up doing that. Now, don't ask me whether or not there's any like good fundamentals on it. I don't care. I just see a big accumulation range over here. A lot of whales have been accumulating this, and they're ready to pump it, and it's pumping. Do I think that ADA is going to break out right away? No, not necessarily. Maybe another couple weeks. That's what I think. Next up, I want to talk about... I'm just going to talk about them one at a time here. There's a coin that I do own, which is Multiverse X, or EGLD, Agron. I think it looks pretty decent. It broke about the weekly Ichimoku cloud over here. I think it's going to have some pretty decent bullish continuation. Got a katana going on up here. It can go up a lot higher, but it is hitting some pretty important, resistance level. It might not end up breaking above the Ichimoku cloud this week. We might end up closing because the weekly candle closes later tonight, right? But if you look at the lock level, I think it's probably going to hit like back over at the 0.382. Hopefully, you have enough juice to kind of push through that, and we will hit 163, which is 0.618, 276, which is the 0.786. That's a lot of gains for here, right? If you're able to break above this level, then you talk about 4 digits, EGLD or Multiverse X. I think all those are entirely possible. Whoops, I don't think I drew the fit levels here appropriately. But 158, 272. If you break above these levels, then you talk about like 4 digits, right? HBAR has really been extremely crazy. What you're looking at is a katana that continues to be katanaing here on the weekly, and on the monthly, it broke for a lot of resistance levels that I previously thought that it was just going to be resistance. It didn't care about any of these resistance levels, which is absolutely insane. Well, what are we talking about here? Well, it's potentially even closing the weekly candle here about the 0.786. But because how much energy is being exerted is because, and also because if it breaks about the 0.786, you're talking about some pretty crazy all-time high stuff. I think there's a potential for this week to close underneath 31 cents, which is going to be 0.786 here. I just think that it's just way overextended. At some point, it has to cool down. And you want it to cool down, and this current level over here is a very reasonable level for it to cool down before further bullish continuation. Come back down, maybe the back test is 0.618. Back test this wick over here before further bullish continuation. But there's nothing bearish about HBAR. Like, HBAR looks extremely bullish. It's just at some point you're going to have the appropriate pullback and cool down, because a lot of energy has been really exerted here with this big giant move upwards, and you're at a very important fit level here for it to potentially cool down. I would not buy here. I could be wrong. It could just keep on going up to like $5 from here. I don't care. But right now, the risk reward ratio is just not worth it for me. JASMY, same thing. I actually have a GAN arc here that's been working out pretty well. Do I think it's going to push back to the previous all-time high to like $2 and like how much is it? $2.72. I don't think so. It doesn't have to before you make a lot of gains from here. I remember somebody was saying this is a head and shoulder pattern, but because it's just kind of riding along the GAN arc over here, and because it's also hitting the Ichimoku cloud as support, I really thought it was going to push through up here, have a head and shoulder continuation pattern. It certainly seems to be working out. And I thought it was going to get rejected here. Somebody's going to reject it at the arc and the horizontal line over here to close the week, right? That's okay. If it hovers around this arc here for a few weeks and then it goes up to the next arc, that's a lot of gains, right? Ultimately, what do I think that the cycle is going to go? I think the cycle is probably going to minimally hit this arc up here around like 75 cents. I think that's kind of what I'm looking at, to be honest. Do I think it's going to go higher than that? Possibly. I wouldn't count on it. It doesn't have to for us to make a lot of gains from it, right? The important thing is if it's able to close about the 0.382 FIB level, which is 3.8 cents, I guess, which I think we are going to. It could even come back down and hover around here for a few weeks before going up further. The next level actually very well lined up here. 0.786 is going to be the next arc up here, which is 19 cents. And the next level would break about the 0.786. Then you're talking about some pretty crazy things happening. But I just don't think so. I do have a position in JASMY. If it surprises me, it surprises me. I'm not going to necessarily just sell because I don't think it's going to go up a lot higher. I'm going to monitor the trend, see if there's any trend outside of trend exhaustion. But so far, it looks like it probably wants to break through this arc and maybe get to this arc up here at least, for the cycle. If it ends up getting rejected here, 0.618 hard, and then the cycle might end over soon. But I just see that JASMY could probably end up going a lot higher. It's kind of what I'm seeing. XRP, very similar to HBAR. I mean, I would not be able to buy something that's just way outside the weekly upper Bollinger Band. This just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Would I short it here? No. Like, it's just broken through everything. It's got a katana on the weekly. It's got a katana here on the monthly. Broke through the monthly Ichimoku cloud like it's butter. And it's forming almost a all-time high here. The previous all-time high is around $3.31. And we're kind of getting close to it. I think that's going to be a pretty strong resistance level. But I think it's going to break through that after maybe some initial rejection. Because it's broken through 0.786, there's really nothing else to say. It's going to keep going a lot higher. The only question is short term, is it a good area to enter? No, because it's way outside the upper Bollinger Band on the monthly, and it's also way outside the upper Bollinger Band here on the weekly. It's probably going to need to have to cool down at some point. I just don't find the risk reward ratio to be beneficial for me personally to want to enter that. Optimism, it's a pretty bullish chart actually. I got a GAN here, and you can see that the GAN has been broken above here, which tells me that it's probably grabbing up here to the horizontal line here around $6, or even higher at the arc up here about around like anywhere from $7-8 to $10. It's probably going to where it's in and grabbing into. Now, does it push up a lot higher to the arc up here above in the 30s, or this horizontal up here in the low 20s? It's possible, one level at a time. I think that there's not a whole lot of Fibonacci retracements or anything that I can do from a cycle perspective. But I think minimally looking again, it's probably going to hit the arc up here around $7 to $8 and even $9, and that could be a good area to take profits for a lot of people. Ultimately, like the low 20s and the low 30s could be the end of the cycle here, based on what I'm seeing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If it's a little bit less, it's a little bit less. If it pushed through a lot higher, then that's fine too. But I think that this is a bullish chart. It's been mostly forming higher highs and higher lows compared to here. It looks like it wants to go up higher, and we're just kind of broken through this arc over here, so looking pretty bullish. Avalanche, another crypto that is also looking bullish. There are a couple things here. One is breaking above the 0.618 from a cycle fit retracement level perspective, which is bullish. If we're able to close this week about the 0.618, then we're going to hit the line up here eventually around $80. Right. The only issue is we had the arc. We got rejected over here back in March. We're trying to push through it. So far, we're probably getting rejected here. If we end up closing inside the arc, then you're opening a possibility for it to hit the top of the arc and consolidate here for a little bit before pushing up to the next level, which is going to be around 80. If you push through 80, all-time high, triple-digit stuff coming for Avalanche, right? That's just objective. I'm not, you know, like making up anything. COTI, this one coin that I do have, I think it's breaking about the 0.5 here again after backtesting 256. If it breaks through the 0.618 here, where we got rejected last time, then COTI is going a lot higher. I think COTI could end up, you know, going to 40 cents. And if it ends up going to 40 cents, it breaks through that too. Then you're talking about some potential higher levels up here around $2, $3, $5. Those are possible. If it's able to break about 41 cents, right? But I think the risk reward ratio is pretty decent because I think this is wave 1. And wave 1 did like a 7 or 8x. This is wave 2. Wave 2 has been extremely brutal. So wave 3 I think is probably going to push through 0.786. It's probably going to go up to like, you know, some of the higher levels up here, at least around like $1.08, $2, $3. I think it's possible to end the cycle. It could go up a lot higher, potentially. But this is a big giant accumulation range over here, so I'm not going to bet against it. I have a coin called AMP, and I'm very, very bullish on AMP. And the way I see AMP is, I think that AMP is going to go higher. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do a 180. And I'm going to do 0.001. Actually, 0.005. So if you do this, it actually gives you a pretty decent market symmetry because the arc here rejected, pushed through, backtest, pushed through, rejected, came back down to the arc, backtest the bottom of the arc here, pushed through this arc here again, got rejected of this arc here again, right? Now, if we're able to close inside the lower part of this arc here this week, which looks like it's possible, then you're talking about some further bullish continuation up here to the 1.7 cent level. But ultimately, if you do a Fibonacci retracement, I think the next really strong resistance level is going to be 2.2 cents, around the 0.618 level, right? We do have a couple of resistance zone over here before pushing through, but it looks like it wants to maybe push through this arc here over the next few weeks, maybe even push through the horizontal here line here over the next few weeks to kind of get up to 0.618. Ultimately, I don't know whether or not it has to make a, you know, all-time high. I do not know that. I would not be surprised if it does. I have a pretty decent position I've been adding all the way down here. I was being made fun of for it, but yeah, I mean, right now it's breaking out. I think it's going to go a lot higher. I think this is wave 1. It basically made a 10x. This is wave 2. Very brutal wave 2. So I think wave 3 is going to be pretty powerful. We'll see how far wave 3, you know, makes it to, right? But yeah, that's one that I'm interested in. 5 more, then I'm done with this video. The next one up is one that nobody's talking about anymore. MATIC. MATIC has been extremely brutal. I think I did this scan. Let me see here. I think I did this scan with a weekly. Yeah, I did it on a weekly here. 14400.2 gave some really beautiful market symmetry here. And where you can see what MATIC has been really doing is this has been an extremely powerful push about this arc. Once it breaks through this arc here, is an arc breaker, right? Broke 1, 2, and 3, got to the third one, got rejected, came back down, back test the arc down here twice, right? Once over here, June 2022, second time down here, which just happened in November 2024, right? Or October 2024, right? This is also a very confluent zone of support at the horizontal line, at the arc, and at the angle. And you're able to bounce off it very, very powerfully. So far, it's price already like 3x from where it was down here. So that was probably a really good zone to have bought if you wanted to. It's hitting resistance though on the weekly Ichimoku cloud. It's still very far away from the monthly Ichimoku cloud, but it's hitting some resistance here. So got a little bit of bullish cross here, but I think it probably end up having some sideways action here now. As you see, like we've had a hard time breaking through Ichimoku cloud here for a very, very long time. But I think that there's a good chance for it to break through because I think that now that we found support here at the bottom of the arc here twice, it's going to gravitate up back here to the top, to this arc up here above, around $1.08, 80 cents, $1.80, break through that, then you talk about $2.80, somewhere around there. And there's a potential for the cycle, if it breaks through this arc over here, potential for a cycle to end here around like 18 or 19 bucks. Or maybe even like, 27, 28, somewhere around there. That's plausible if it ends up breaking through this strong resistance levels up here around anywhere around like $1.80 to $2.80, somewhere around here. I'm not sure how far it would go. It might be one of those that it just doesn't really make an all-time high this cycle, which is entirely possible. But I think that so far it is still pretty decent risk-reward ratio. If you buy here, it's probably going to end up making you pretty decent, at least like 3x or something like that. If it breaks through that, then man, it's going to go a lot higher. I don't know. I mean, I do have a small position I've just been holding. I have not been adding because I think this is going to be a laggard for the entire cryptocurrency market anyway. But I'm just watching it from afar. One that has a lot of people really, really bullish on, which is Randar. Randar is basically doing what it's supposed to be doing. It came up here, had a little bit of false breakout above the arc, came back down to the bottom arc, back to the 0.786, back to this horizontal zone over here, almost perfectly bounced through, pushed through this cycle high over here. It looks like it wants to go hit the arc up here. That's what it looks like it wants to do. It broke through the Ichimoku, so there's a lot more room for it to potentially go up, right? How far do I think this is going to go this cycle? I don't know. Because it's already made a very, very strong move up, and this might have been wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. Wave 5 might end up ending at anywhere from like $36, $57 or $74. I'm not sure if it's going to end up making like some crazy gains again from here. I'm not sure it's going to make another 20 or 30x to like, up here. I'm just not sure about that. So I'm not really in this. If it ends up pushing through above and like, really does a very, very powerful move beyond my imagination, then so be it. I'm wrong all the time, but I just am a little bit skeptical. It's a bullish chart. I think it's going to minimally make another like 3 to 7x somewhere around there is what I'm thinking. Same thing when it comes to Fetch AI. I think Fetch AI is running into a little bit of difficulty here. It's hitting resistance here at the arc, where it got rejected here last time. And I think it's probably going to push through the arc given time. If it pushes through the arc, I think the confluence zone that it naturally hit would probably be somewhere around like $27.5, which is 1.618 level up here above, which is also going to be where the arc is going to be around, right? By maybe like, mid-late 2025 or something like that. I don't know. But there's a confluence zone up here around here somewhere that I think is probably going to end up hitting. And it could potentially like 10x from here, which is not a bad gain, but it doesn't have to. It can also get rejected up here around $7, around $12.45, and that could be the cycle ender. That's always a possibility, right? But I can see that it's at resistance level, so always be a little bit more cautious, right? But because it got rejected here previously, I think we're building enough energy from the 0.786 bounce here to really push through it. We'll see. I'm not gonna buy it because again, like a lot of gains have already been made from like 5 cents all the way to like $3. I'm gonna be a little bit more skeptical. I'm gonna stay away from this for now, even though it has a 10x potential. I know it's crazy for me to kind of say that. One I do have position is a very, very small cap one, is SUKU, available on Coinbase. I just like the chart. I mean, I think that it's bounced from the bottom of the 2 Ichimoku, so it's probably going to challenge the previous level up here again. It's probably going to go up a lot higher, and basically from here at the bottom to the top here made like almost like an 8x, and this is wave 2. I think wave 3 is going to be extremely powerful. If you do some Fibonacci retracement levels, I think that it has to break through 0.382. I think minimum is going to get to 66 cents, which is basically a 5x from here. If it breaks above that, it could make some pretty sick gains to like all-time highs on some of the levels up above, which is kind of insane to think about. Now, if you think that it's insane to think about, I have to say the market cap for this is $22 million. And if there's a crypto like altcoin season, like this can really run, and the market cap can be a lot higher, and it would be like still nothing compared to the entire cryptocurrency market. It forms a higher high and higher low here And right at the 2-week Ichimoku cloud, it looks like it wants to break through. It looks like it wants to go a lot higher. So, and I also like the fact that it's like a very, very small market cap. One that I also do have is BOBA. BOBA is also a very small market cap. Is a layer 2 for Ethereum, $52 million market cap. Getting rejected here at horizontal. Come back test the arc over here almost perfectly. So I think it's going to push. It's going to be an arc breaker. It did make a little bit of a more than 10x here on wave 1. So I think wave 2 has been extremely brutal. Wave 3 is going to be pretty parabolic. Is what I'm seeing here. I'm not even like for something like this. I'm not even going to try to pretend to you that I know how high this can go. I'm just going to play by ear. It's going to break through a level at a time here. But when things get really parabolic, it can be extremely crazy because the market cap is so small. It's like $52 million. It can do some really, really sickening things one way or another. Like it can go from like $1.24 down to like 16 cents within a matter of like months. And it could end up pushing to like several dollars and a lot higher potentially because it's got such a small market cap. Anyway, I just want to share with you some of the altcoins that I've been looking at. I have a majority of them I do have a position in, so that's why I kind of want to talk a little bit about them. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.